KwaZulu-Natal ActionSA Leader Zwakele Mncwango is the party's provincial premier candidate for the 2024 general election. Party President Herman Mashaba has made the announcement in Durban, saying ActionSA will be a major player in the country after next year's poll. Mncwango joined the party about a year ago and is currently a member of the eThekwini Metro Council.
I truly believe in his ability to shake up things, not only for people of KZN, but for people of South Africa. In closing, Mr. Mncwango, I'd like to really give you the marching orders. Because that's how I operate. Because if you don't operate on the basis of having marching orders, people get confused of what they need to do. Fellow South Africans and people of KZN, we are aware we've just lost really one of prominent leaders of our country, Prince Buthelezi. And I believe, and we believe as ActionSA, we don't want his memory to be forgotten. I therefore, on behalf of Senate, want to really give you the marching orders, and you've already committed to this. The first order of business is to work towards the removal of ANC in this province. That's the first order of business that you've got to do. Secondly, please mobilize other political parties to support you to ensure that the provincial government is moved to Ulundi in honor of Prince Buthelezi. If you can get other political parties that are aware of the need to honor Prince Buthelezi, please work towards that. Put this motion in every available platform to ensure that that happens. Lastly, and I heard you loudly, and on behalf of Senate, we want you to, at the next sitting of eThekwini municipality, you and your team come out with a motion where eThekwini Metro must be changed and named after Prince Buthelezi.
All right, well, ActionSA KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Chairperson Zwakele Mncwango joins us now to discuss this further. Very good evening to you, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good evening to you, Flo, and good evening to viewers of SABC.
All right, let's start here. I'm going to pose to you the very same question I posed to your colleague, Andrew Lowe, when he was announced as the premier candidate in the Northern Cape. But I asked him, what was this sort of, your expectation to be selected as the premier candidate in the province of KZN?
Not really. I think ActionSA have a process, and the leadership with Senate decide through the process. So one must expect anything, but one is privileged to be really chosen to be the one to stand for this important position for the province.
Yeah.
And also confidence shown in me by the president and the Senate. I really appreciate that. All
right. Well, of course, it's a big responsibility that you've been entrusted with. And, of course, I would ask you if you're ready, particularly given the fact that KwaZulu-Natal is a stronghold of, obvious parties like the ANC. I think that your president mentioned there as well in passing the IFP. And I see that EFF as well is making some inroads in KZN. How will ActionSA really sort of put its stamp of authority, if I can put it that way, in a province that's already got parties that have, I could say, established themselves already?
Yeah, very interestingly, Flo. I've just finished a year with ActionSA, but since joining ActionSA, we've seen a steady growth of this organization. We are penetrating new areas. We now have more than 79 branches across the province. We have membership growing almost every day. And more interestingly, also, Flo, it will be remembered that on the 5th of April this year, we contested a by-election in the rural area of Nongoma, where we're able to get to third position at by-election by 10.2%. We're able to beat the parties you're referring to, like the EFF, your NFP. We're able to beat the ANC in some of the VDs. So it shows that this is a party that's growing in all communities. And what is exciting about ActionSA is the fact We grow in all areas. You talk of urban areas, you talk of rural areas. It shows strength. There's a party for all South Africans. And I think the rise in Johannesburg, in Tshwane recently, shows exactly that. To get more than 23% in a by-election in an urban area, that shows the strength of this organization, that across communities, we are getting support.
Yeah. Mr. Mncwango, you're already part of the eThekwini Metro Council. I would assume that in preparation for what you hope would be premiership, that you have identified some of the problems and some of the challenges within KZN. And if indeed you were given the honor of being a premier, where exactly, would you begin? I know that your president already gave you marching orders. He's already given you, I think, was it 3 marching orders? And I want to discuss the last 2. But for you, I mean, what is your sort of starting point if you were indeed to be premier?
Look, I think the advantage for me, Flo, is the fact that I also served in the legislature for about 5 years. So I have a full understanding of challenges facing this province. For example, the first priority for me as a premier candidate, if I become a premier, is the issue of education. I strongly believe that ActionSA need to have a radical approach in terms of dealing with education by providing our people with quality education, whether in rural areas. And I think we must move away from this notion that for someone to get quality education, you can only take your kids to urban schools. We must ensure that rural schools are also given an opportunity to provide quality education by providing more teachers and also training for teachers, and also making sure that the environment in our schools are conducive for learning and teaching. So currently at the moment, we have an issue where it's just unionized. Yeah. We are saying as ActionSA, we must unionize our schools, but also the issue of healthcare. You mustn't get healthcare system that's quality when you go to private hospitals. We are saying we must provide our communities, regardless where you are in the province, with quality healthcare system. But also the issue of corruption. We are saying ActionSA, we have no tolerance on corruption. We must fight corruption. Corruption will become an enemy number 1 of our government. We need to ensure that we elect ethical leaders, because we believe, Flo, that in KZN, there is no problem that can be fixed as long as you get right leaders who have ethics and integrity. And also, it's of economy. You mentioned Durban. Durban is a hub of our economy. So it should be booming. 60% of our economy, GDP, come from eThekwini. So it means we must ensure that infrastructure and tourism is working in eThekwini so that we can attract investors and also attract tourists to grow our economy. So we believe economy is a corner center of creating jobs, because already you have more than 30% of graduates that are unemployed. We must ensure that we fix infrastructure. By fixing infrastructure, also we create jobs on the process. By the same time, we attract investors, even in rural areas. That is why also we are saying we must ensure that we fight crime, because when you employ more police officers on our streets, we also create jobs. At the same time, we are fighting crime. Our police officers are under stress at the moment because they don't have resources. We believe that when we get to that position as a premier, we must ensure that our police officers are working in a conducive environment to fight crime. We must stop this notion where, honestly, you find a police station in Maritzburg, for example, they are closing at 12 because police have been robbed by criminals. Now the entire police station in Pietermaritzburg is closing at 12 because they're scared of crime. Yeah. Now the question is, who must protect residents if our police are scared of crime? We are saying we must provide our polluted water. I understand the crisis of water in our province. There's a crisis of water. We're also saying we must do away, Flo, with district models, because we are going to engage with the national government. Our policy conference made a resolution that we must do away with district models because the districts are just consuming money from government with nothing they are offering. We are saying water must be provided by local municipalities.
All right. In the orders of business that your president gave you, the last 2 were quite interesting. It seems there was a lot of talk about Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi and indeed honoring him. Tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but it does seem as though there is some sort of, I'll call it courting of the IFP in the province with that particular gesture. Is that how you read it?
Not really. You remember, Flo, that ActionSA was actually the first party to do a petition calling for the public to have a voice on whether we should relocate legislature back to Ulundi. And the main reason for that law is the fact that there is a building of legislature in Ulundi. You're not going to go and rebuild it.
Yeah.
We are currently renting properties in Maritzburg, and also there was a proposal to build a new precinct. It would cost 6 billion rand of taxpayers. So we are saying, why spend so much money? There's a building in Ulundi. Obviously, because of politics of the ANC, they moved legislature back in Maritzburg. We are saying, as ActionSA, we'll save money by going back to Ulundi because there is infrastructure, it's working, it's in a good place, in a good shape. Why not use it? The second order flow as well is an issue. We have someone in our province, and you can just, people can dispute as they want, but the fact of the matter is there is no other person you can benchmark with Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in KwaZulu-Natal. The contribution he played, not only as an IP president or a founder, but as a person who was able to really build our monarchy, who was able to be also in a position to protect the little piece of land in our province by introducing Ingonyama Trust. Because currently in KwaZulu-Natal, we have land we can call our communal land because of him. So there is no way then we can downplay the role he played in our society. One reason we are saying he must be honored. And eThekwini is the only metro in KwaZulu-Natal, the biggest metro in KwaZulu-Natal. So we are saying, why not honor him with such a big metro? We know in the Eastern Cape, for example, you have Mandela Bay metropolitan. Why can't we have Mangosuthu Buthelezi in KwaZulu-Natal? We're not comparing him and Buthelezi and Mandela, but the point is he played a big role in our province.
All right.
We can't be blinded by politics. We respect him. We believe he played a role. He must be honored.
All right, thanks very much for giving us your time there, Sir Zwakele Mncwango, who's KwaZulu-Natal ActionSA Leader and is now the party's provincial premier candidate for the 2024 general elections.